Jumpstar friends! Bizzy Izzy here. Let's chat about the history of computers and take a look inside a modern computer. Computers are everywhere today. They are in watches, clothing, people, pets, hi Douglas, and other animals. Yep, you heard that right. There are computers inside some people. We'll talk about that in an upcoming episode. Of course, there are computers in our tablets, phones, and televisions, even in satellites and rockets. But where do they come from? Charles Babbage is one of the inventors of early computers in approximately 1825, but he never actually built one. He had written down his designs and ideas for mechanical computers, which, unlike computers today, did not use electricity. Another fellow named William Thomson, also known as Lord Kelvin, continued Babbage's work and created working models of mechanical computers. Later, in the 1920s, these two guys, Vannevar Bush and Harold L. Hazen, further improved the mechanical computer. Eventually, by the 1940s, many engineers and scientists produced the first electronic computer, named the ENIAC, which stands for Electronic, Numerical, Integrator, and Computer. ENIAC was huge! It was the size of a house. It was 170 square meters, approximately 1,800 square feet in area. That's about a third of a basketball court. Essentially, computers were developed by many people, and they've gotten smaller and smaller. Today we have the latest versions of microcomputers, which are super tiny. Most modern computers follow a basic physical design pattern. That means they are all put together with the same structural ideas. For example, all computers have some way or method of inputting data and then using or processing that data and outputting it. For instance, this PlayStation gets its input data from the CD that you put into it, as well as data from the player's remote control. The computer on the PlayStation uses that data to output a picture to your TV. Let's take a look at it in more detail with a desktop computer. A desktop is your everyday computer that you use for sending emails, processing pictures, and maybe even watching this video. A desktop gets its input data from the user through the keyboard, screen, trackpad, mouse, webcam, or other device. The computer processes the data to output a picture on the screen. But what processes the data? Well, let's take a look inside a computer. Don't open up a computer without adult supervision and permission. You could get very hurt because there is electricity flowing inside, even if it appears to be off. Here is a desktop computer. Even though this one probably sits on the floor, its name comes from how the first generally available computers were designed to sit on your desktop. Eventually, engineers reconfigured the casing, but left the inside design the same. This case is a tower case, which allows it to stand up on the floor, like a tower. On the front, we see the power button, some USB ports, jacks for headphones and microphones, a card reader, a storage space, a DVD and CD reader. DVD is digital video disc, and CD is compact disc. The holes you see are for ventilation, so that the hot air can escape. On the back, we see the general caution warning, the power input. This one is a global design standard called IEC C13. IEC stands for International Electrotechnical Commission. And lower down, we see the video output, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We see some audio output jacks, this green one, and all of these. Some more USBs, and an Ethernet network port called RJ45. RJ means register jack. This one has a button on the side to uncover it. Some use screws. Let's take off the cover and see inside. This is the power supply. It lowers the voltage of the electricity so that a computer can use it without burning out its components. Next, you can see this big green board under everything. It's called the motherboard. It's not always green, but it does hold all the parts together. When the computer turns on, power goes through the power supply to the motherboard and to some chips called the drive controller, which reads the startup instructions or program from the hard drive. A hard drive can look like any of these. The little black rectangles are called chips, but the actual chip is inside it. The black part is the casing. Chips contain thousands of microscopic sized or even smaller electronic parts and circuits. After it reads the instructions, it gives it to the central processing unit, the CPU, which is this. Well, actually, the CPU is under all of this. What you're looking at is a fan and a heatsink tool to cool the CPU. Here's what a typical CPU looks like. It's a large, silver-colored chip, and the other side has its connection pins, so that it can plug into its socket on the motherboard. Depending on what the instructions are, the CPU may need to store data temporarily, and it uses these chips, called the RAM, or Random Access Memory, to store it. If it is instructed to store information permanently, it'll put it on the hard drive. When you turn off your computer, all the data in the RAM is erased, but data on the hard drive is not. Depending on what the program is instructing the computer to do, it may need to display something or make sounds as output. To do that, the CPU sends instructions to the video or audio card. These are places for more cards. This is to connect more hard drives, and these are fans, because it gets really hot inside of a computer when it's working. Okay, so we saw the general structure of a modern computer. We call all of those parts the hardware. But how does that collection of hardware help you write emails, draw pictures, and play games? What is it that does that? You can pause the video and think about it for a while if you need to. The other part is a set of instructions that tells the computer how to process the input. This is called a program. Another word for program is software. If you got that correct, great job. The hardware and the software work together to process input data and transform it to your desired output. It's pretty neat how these little chips help us to do calculations, automate tasks, fly airplanes, program robots, make videos, and use the internet. Almost all the electronic devices we use today have computers in them, with the same parts you just saw, except smaller. Sometimes a lot smaller. Engineers and scientists are working on a new type of computer that's not ready to be used in daily life. It's called the quantum computer, and it can be super fast at processing instructions, but it's also super big, kind of like 2020's version of ENIAC. Alright, that's a lot of information. Some of it might be in your RAM, short-term memory. Your CPU, brain, will decide if it should stay there or go to the long-term storage. If you like, you can use this information to draw a computer, which is you producing a graphic output. Or you could tell somebody about what you learned, which is your audio output. Even though it can be fun or easy to compare ourselves to computers, they are created using general design patterns that we can observe in all living animals, including ourselves. It's really important to realize and understand that we and other life forms are not computers, and each of us is a conscious being. Good luck on your assignment! Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please make sure to store this in your hard drive and subscribe. If you like this video, click the thumbs up. See you next time. Goodbye!